Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center. It's wonderful to see all your smiling faces, and a shout out to our online community. So glad you're here with us today. The path to progress. The path to progress is created by a vision. Hopefully, a vision inspired by your connection to your innate divinity. Also, that vision is empowered by each and every one of your 12 attributes of God. We call them our 12 powers. And we have studied them many times and referred to them over and over through our talks and classes. And so by using these tools of both our vision and our God-given gifts or attributes, we awaken our ability to discern what is our best action. We call upon our guidance found through prayer and meditation. And as I referenced last week, my prayer is that during this post-hurricane experience, you have had the opportunity and ability to quiet your mind and to keep consistent, even a little, your prayer, your meditation, your connection to Spirit. It is from that highest level of consciousness, with all these post-hurricane activities, that we function at our very best. In the lifetime of Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, co-founders of Unity, very good, they too went through countless times of change during their lifetimes and during their building and strengthening of what became known as silent unity and the unity movement. There were many times of outer change for them to experience, just as we have outer change based on the devastation left by Hurricane Michael. In Charles's lifetime, he continued his path to progress through the turn of the century, the Great Depression, and 2 world wars. Keep in mind that Myrtle was born in 1845 and Charles in 1854. Ron Holdaway was getting those confused. That's why they're fresh in my mind. Knowing that in their life experience, they had many opportunities of outer in which to test their faith. However, giving up on their understanding of what that faith was as the active life presence of the divine was exactly what Charles and Myrtle did not do. A hurricane seems like a small thing in my mind compared to a world war or 2. And the years of devastation left by the inhumanity to one another. There are countless stories of the unity movement as it evolved, where faith was the number one tool utilized for them to continue their ongoing journey. In Scripture, it says from Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, faith is the assurance of things hoped for. Now, Charles Fillmore, in The Revealing Word, said that faith, from a metaphysical perspective, is the perceiving power of the mind, linked with the ability to shape substance. We've talked about shaping substance in here before. We take our mind and our heart and we take our guidance through prayer and meditation, and we hold the vision of what is our next highest and best. And we hold to it with such a faith and determination. If it is inspired by the divine, then it must be the highest and best next step, the path to progress. Now, Charles also said that faith was the deep inner knowing that we seek. That essence of expression for your next highest and best is also seeking you. It is from the alignment of consciousness and love that your next step will be revealed. Consciousness and love. And so it's important to know that there's a difference between love and fear. And it is important to know in a post-hurricane experience where you're putting your consciousness. As we strive to center ourselves in a level of faith by following our intuitive guidance through prayer and meditation, we strive to do what we are inspired to do. From our groundedness, our centeredness, our principle number 2, our Christ consciousness, our Buddha nature, our connection to universal life. For when we follow our guidance from that centeredness, then the definition of faith from Hebrews is true. It is the assurance of things hoped for. So it is important to take your action from faith and not allow your action to be rooted in fear. And you know the difference. We've all felt faith, we've all felt fear, and they are distinctly different. So for ourselves, moving forward on our path to progress, myself and the Board of Trustees are not giving up our faith either. We are moving forward in the steps of Charles and Myrtle, and we are following our guidance. Over the years, many decisions for this ministry may or may not have been made from faith, and some may have been made from fear. One of the common denominators that I have learned about in learning and studying the history of this ministry, all 38 to 40 years of it, is that there's a common thread, a common denominator that many decisions are expressing from. And it is one of financial lack. I started out October with the trance of scarcity to create a place from which our consciousness can rise up from, to remove ourselves from the trance of scarcity that is prevalent in our society. And that may have been prevalent in some of the previous decisions. Because as I've learned about this beautiful structure and the corners that were cut in the final stages of its building, and the 19-year-long decision to only carry liability insurance and not property damage insurance by wind or hail. All of those decisions were made because of finances. Not faith, but fear. And it is not with criticism that I share this. It just is. As individuals, we have done many things with our lives that if we had the wisdom later, we would have done differently. But nope, we learned on the fly, and we lived with our choices. So even today, with a bare-bones budget, this center now is in its 14th year that I can figure out of experiencing financial shortfall. We now have thermometers and index cards to point out the severity of the black, the white, and the red. That shortfall where our income through Sunday services and classes and events and rental, such as renting out our fellowship hall to Boyd Construction and renting out our classrooms to the law firm, it still won't help to cover our expenses. Nor will it help to cover the years of deferred maintenance on this beautiful building. That maintenance now intensified by Hurricane Michael gracing our shores. Without property insurance to assist with the visible and hidden damages that we are still learning, there is so much that must be faced on our path to progress. For many of you, I know this is no surprise because of my financial transparency since I've arrived to be your administrative leader. Because I've been speaking of finances clearly and plainly for 2 years. And so it is from that small r reality, small r being human level existence, capital R being divine level of existence. So speaking from that small r reality of the current financial situation, I have chosen to give my notice of resignation to the Board of Trustees on November 1st. And you should all know that I come as a salt and pepper set. And so Rob Rauchi has also given his resignation. And we will be moving to New Mexico at the end of the month. This month. The Dalai Lama said, there is a saying in Tibetan, tragedy should be utilized as a source of strength. No matter what sort of difficulties, how painful our experience is, if we lose our hope, that is the real disaster. So let me share those words from the Dalai Lama again. Tragedy should be utilized as a source of strength. Hurricane Michael is giving each of us the opportunity to dive into our spiritual resources and stand firm in our faith and call forth our attributes of the divine to rise up in whatever way your guidance gives you. The Dalai Lama goes on to say, no matter what sort of difficulties, how painful our experience is, if we lose our hope, that, and that alone, is the real disaster. How you move forward individually and collectively must be rooted in hope and faith. Personally, my prayer for this board and for this congregation is that each of you can find that hope and faith within yourselves. To know that faith is an attribute of God, there is an abundance within you. It's part of the package. It came with the car. It is now time for you to take an active level of participation through your talent, your time, your treasure to support whatever expression of this community is to continue forward. It is up to you. It has always been up to you. It has been up to you to be God in action in your life. It has been up to you to be God in action as a spiritual community. And it is up to you now to continue to be the presence of God on the planet. That is why we are here. That, like I referred to last week, never goes away. You and who you are, a spark of the divine, is here on purpose. So for me, I wish you well on your continued journey. Because after today, our paths shall no longer be parallel. They still shall start to diverge and go separate ways. And the thing we have that holds us together is our unity and new thought teachings. That stress that there is an unlimited potential. There are unlimited possibilities in your path to progress. The sky is the limit, folks. Look for the adjacent possible. The idea that you could not see before allows Spirit to speak to you. Make sure it's faith and not fear that leads your steps. And whatever that adjacent possible is, you embrace it completely. No matter how scary, no matter how hard. Hope and faith. You are heirs to the kingdom. allow it to be as such in your life. And I invite you to Rap with the Rev next Sunday, where there will be opportunity for answers and questions and more answers and probably more questions. But know that divine order is taking place, and we are each on our path to progress. Namaste.